Hello, welcome to the Executive Director Council monthly meeting. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Brenda Scott. I'm the council chair. And we have with us Sue Abderholden, who is first vice chair. Hi, Sue.
Hey, everyone.
And Eric Welsh, second vice chair.
Hello.
And we have our secretary, Sataniel. Thank you, Sataniel, NAMI, Mississippi.
Hi, everyone.
All right. So at the first part of the meeting, what we try to do is if you are an executive director that is new or you have never been on the call before, would you please introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and how long you've been in the position? Unmute yourself if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Appleby. I'm the executive director for NAMI, Missouri. I'm actually using my coworker's phone trying to log in on mine. So it's under Jess, but I'm Stephanie with NAMI, Southwest Missouri. And I've been in this role about a year and a half.
Well, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Thanks.
Any other executive directors that want to introduce themselves that have not been on the call before? Maybe you've been in the position for a while, but you've not had a chance to introduce yourself, or you're new to the organization. Okay, so we'll move on. We have Dan Gillison, who is on the call. He is NAMI's CEO. Welcome, Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you to all of you all. And I'll be extremely brief because you have a very full agenda. Appreciate everything that you're doing. One of the things that we're saying, you know about what is going on in terms of our priorities, in terms of the Reimagine Crisis Response 988, as well as our youth and young adult focus, as well as the upcoming book, and also our diversity work, which you will be hearing about. Last thing I will say to you all is one of the things we're experiencing right now, we're telling people is that as we look at the covers of the book being ourselves, one of the things that NAMI does is we meet people where they are. And I say that because of the recent loss of life to suicide of Miss USA 2019, as well as Regina King's son a few days after his 26th birthday. Both lives lost by suicide. And you go back to Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade and others, Robin Williams. Let's not judge the book by its cover as we ask people how they're doing. Let's not take the cosmetic answer. Let's go to the next level and say, no, how are you really doing? Thank you very much, Brenda. And thank you all for your work and your leadership.
Thank you very much, Dan, for that welcome. And yes, suicide is a topic that is near and dear to many of our hearts. And myself, I have been affected by it. I am a two-time suicide loss survivor. And that's the reason I even came to this organization. Next, we have Shirley Holloway, who is the president of NAMI. Shirley, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. I don't want to take time because you've got lots of robust speakers and lots of good information that's going to be shared today. I always appreciate being with all of you, and I so appreciate the work you do every day. And yes, many of us have been impacted by suicide, and that's what brought me to NAMI as well. So thank you, Dan, for your thoughtful words. And I think this is going to be a very productive meeting. And thanks again for Brenda, all the work she's doing on committees with board members. She's been a great asset to our committees and helped us develop our policies and now our procedures. So I'm very grateful for her leadership representing all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shirley. It's been a pleasure to serve and be on all those committees and here so that the board can hear the voice of the field. And that's what I have been trying to represent. Next, we have Hannah, who is the Chief Advocacy Officer for NAMI. Hannah, welcome.
Hey, Brenda. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for welcoming me here. As Brenda said, I am Hannah Wazalowski. I'm Chief Advocacy Officer here at NAMI. I use she, her pronouns. And for those of you I haven't worked with before, it's really nice to meet you. I appreciate this call every month, so thank you. I'm going to share a few slides. I'm happy to answer questions, but again, I know a very busy agenda today. So can you see my slides? Great.
Yes.
So I'll share these in the chat after, but again, just want to share who you can contact on our team. You can reach out to anyone on our team, but if you're looking for a quick contact, I want to make sure you have the email addresses of the folks on the advocacy team who work most closely with the field. Please reach out to us at any time. I know this is an especially busy time of year with state legislative sessions, and we will try to get back to you as quickly as we can. If we don't have an answer, we will try to get you one, but just want to make sure you all have this contact information. And again, I'll drop this in the chat after. Want to just give a few quick federal updates. Appropriations continues to be at the top of our minds. Basically, quick summary, our current fiscal year 2022, started last October, and we still don't have an approved budget for the current fiscal year. As one of my colleagues so effectively put it, we're running on an inefficient autopilot. That basically means we're running at 2021 funding levels, which are insufficient because there's lots of great things in the 2022 proposals. So we are really hopeful that that will pass soon. Right now, we're on what's called a continuing resolution that ends February 18th. We actually got good news this afternoon that there's broad agreement among congressional leaders on a framework for the budget bill, which is good because that means the subcommittees can now get to work on passing that larger package. So what we expect to happen is probably a 3-week continuing resolution past February 18th to give those subcommittees time to finish up their work. But fortunately, it looks less likely that we will have a full year continuing resolution, which was an option we were looking at. And that would keep us at 2021 funding levels until the next fiscal year, and that would have been disastrous. And this is all happening while we expect the fiscal year 2023 budget process to kick off very soon. The president's State of the Union address is March 1st, and typically his budget proposal is released around the State of the Union. So we anticipate that will happen in very close time frame with finalizing a 2022 budget. So lots more to come. We will keep you updated as this budget process proceeds. And when a final budget is done, we will send out a detailed overview of how that impacts mental health. But this is just a quick summary of why passing a 2022 budget is so critical. There are some really amazing investments in mental health in the 2022 budget, and we'll be pushing for more in the 2023 budget. But a big one I want to call out is the doubling of the Community Mental Health Services Block Grant. That is money that goes out to every single state annually, and the proposal in both the House and Senate is to double that. That means double the money that is going to your state, which is so important. They're also proposing 5% in the Senate, 10% in the House set aside for crisis services. So as your state and your states and communities build up your crisis services system, this will be really important money to help fill a lot of the gaps in that system. There's lots of other good stuff. This is just a short snippet of it. But again, as that budget is finalized, we'll send out a summary to you all of what's included. I also want to just flag that there has been a lot of congressional activity on mental health, and we see this as a good sign that Congress is noting that we are in a mental health crisis. And we saw just in the last week 3 different congressional hearings, which is unheard of in such a short time frame on mental health. I want to call out NAMI Alaska, NAMI Anchorage. There is a youth mental health advocate, Claire Rainier, who testified to the Senate Help Committee. She was absolutely incredible. Her fortitude, her message, it was just amazing. I included a link here to our press statement, which has a link to Claire's testimony. I strongly encourage you to check it out. We were just so proud to have that representation on that panel. We also have submitted statements to the record echoing a lot of our asks for all of these, and we anticipate that we'll have 3 more hearings in the next few weeks, again, on mental health. I'll note that the House Ways and Means Committee, the chair said that this is the first time in 10 years that they've had a hearing on mental health. So Congress is finally taking notice. It's about time, but we'll continue to leverage these opportunities to push forward priorities. One last thing I want to quickly flag for you all is that we will be holding a webinar on March 11th. There'll be an email coming out in the next week or so. This is an election year, which means it's a great opportunity to engage our community. It's a great opportunity to engage candidates for office on mental health. But as 501c3s, there's a lot of rules and regulations we need to be mindful of, but it doesn't mean we can't engage. There's a lot we can do. So we're bringing in the legal counsel we work with on compliance to do an overview of what 501c3s can do in lobbying and in elections, and how you can stay within the guidelines for a nonprofit organization. So be on the lookout for registration, but please save the date. We're doing it on a Friday since we know a lot of you are in state legislative sessions right now, and that during the week it can get really busy. So hopefully this timing will work. And with that, I will again send this out, but a number of resources that you can use to advance your advocacy. And we always welcome ideas on other things that we can do to support your work.
Any questions for Hannah? We are a little bit ahead of schedule. Thank you, everyone. We have a minute for a couple of questions. Well, it sounds like you did a great job, Hannah. As usual, they don't have any questions, or if we do, we want to let's move on. As we said, we do have a packed agenda. Next, we have David Benet, Director of NAMI's Field and Governance and Memberships, and he's going to be talking about the elections. And just want to remind everyone that the elections for all the councils are coming up. And David will be talking more about that, but be thinking about it. If you would like to be on the executive committee, there's the seat of chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, and secretary. Those are all coming up. And so be thinking about if you would like to serve, or if you'd like to be on the EDLE planning committee, other things that you can do too. But all right, I'm gonna turn it over to David.
Thank you, Brenda, very much. Hi, everyone. Great to see everyone on the call. Just a quick rundown of the dates that we'll be using for the upcoming board elections. As typical with the election cycle, there'll be 5 open seats up for election in 2022. And we'll be providing information onto the website and sending those links out. It's very similar to last year, the voting and then the 2022 elections page on the NAMI website. And so we'll be broadcasting that out very soon. Our goal is mid-February to have that material ready. But just to let you know that some dates coming up, the 9th of April will be the deadline to establish membership or make sure that your membership in NAMI is up to date. So if you plan to, or if anyone in your affiliate plans to run for one of the board seats, their membership needs to be up to date as of the 9th of April. So if you have any questions about that, or if anyone has any questions, please reach out to our team, memberservices@nami.org. Shortly thereafter, the 19th will be the deadline for nominations. To the board. And that is required by the bylaws 60 days prior to the annual meeting. And those submissions will be required by midnight on the 19th of April. And then we'll, around that time or just before that time, we'll be conducting a pre-orientation. Most likely the first week of April. We'll need to figure out a date that is convenient for as many people as possible, or we do a video, it's undetermined yet, just to relay the expectations and the parameters of what it is to serve on the NAMI board, time commitment, schedule, and such, so that people going into the process know precisely what they're getting into, what they're volunteering for. And so then the week of May 16th is when we will be sending out the voting packets. So once the membership lists are determined and the eligible voters are determined by our membership team, we'll be sending out electronic voting packets to state organizations and NAMI affiliates, and that is a requirement of the bylaws 30 days prior to the annual meeting. Voting will close on the 15th of June. That is the week of NamiCon, so 6 p.m. Eastern time will be the deadline for that on the 15th. And then, of course, the 18th of June is the annual meeting for NAMI, where the election results will be announced, the new board will be seated, and then we'll already have officer elections for the board. And for this year, of course, the Peer Leadership Council will have their seat on the board following a similar schedule. Any questions for me that I may be able to answer for you about that schedule? All right.
Okay, so David, on the seats for the Executive Directors Council, is that the same date, April 19th, that the nomination has to be in?
For the council itself,
For all the councils.
I don't know the answer to that right now.
Okay.
I haven't gotten with the team as far as the council elections.
Last year it was the same date.
Then for now being, we will use the same dates as what we've been using for the regular board election in order to keep that.
It will follow the same cadence as the national board elections, and I've put in the chat that a schedule of the key dates will be forwarded to this listserv in the next week. We're trying to confirm a couple more dates before having to send it out and send it out again. So stay tuned for next week and everyone will receive a schedule of the key dates.
Okay, thank you. And a reminder to anyone that's thinking about being council chair, talk to me. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of meetings that you have to go to. If they have in-person meetings, you do get to go, but I haven't been able to go for the last couple of years, of course. That was interesting. It was quite an experience. So if you have the opportunity to do it and you have the time, I would suggest you seriously think about being on the executive committee. And it's a 2-year term right now. And then there's the opportunity to run again for another 2-year term. All right, so next we have Sean, who's the Chief of Staff and Chief Information Officer, and Sean Stickle is going to be talking about the convention. Thanks, Sean.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you all. So I'll try to keep this brief. As you probably know, 2 weeks ago, as of yesterday, at the quarterly board meeting, we decided to take NamiCon, which was planned to be in Atlanta, Georgia this year, and pivot it to our 3rd year of virtual conferences in an abundance of caution and trying to keep the best balance of programming, but also safety in mind. So we've sent out some communications like that to the field already and have started making the steps to sort of move the convention to a fully virtual operation. So there's a lot of things in motion right now. So we're going to be sharing more in the next couple of days, but I can tell you a couple of things. One of which is still going to be in June. We're looking at possibly moving off by 1 day because the in-person convention continued into Saturday, and virtual conventions are a little easier to handle if we're doing them during the week, just from an accessibility point of view for folks. So right now we're looking at, but this is not final, June 14th, 15th, and 16th. 14th specifically being Leadership Day, Field Leader Day, and then the 15th and 16th being NamiCon proper. That's, as I say, still under a little bit of discussion, but we're going to finalize that this week. Second, we're still working on a slate of awards that we're going to be opening up nominations for in the next few weeks. So we'll be sharing those around by the end of February. Registration launches next Tuesday. So next week, as of yesterday, registration will open. The registration fees are the same as they were last year. Member tickets are $15, non-member tickets $25, students, youth, young adults, and peers $10. So it's exactly the same pricing structure as last year. And finally, I'm happy to announce that we had over 400 proposals for NamiCon this year. That is, we were aiming for 250. We got 400. We got 120 of them in the last 7 hours that the proposals were open. So like everyone was just coming in real hard at the last couple of minutes. So this is great. This gives us an enormous number to select from. And so we should be able to get really the cream of the crop this year. And we're also trying to find some additional programming for plenaries and special sessions. So more information will be coming on that relatively soon. That's all the update I have for right now, but I'm happy to take questions on any of this.
I have to check your We see what Comcast says.
And I pass it back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so no questions for Sean on convention. This is a quiet group today. Don't get us started, right? All right, so next we're going to talk about community of practice. Christine Neal. Are you
Hi,
there,
everyone.
Christine?
Hi.
Hello.
Good. Hello. Thanks for
And
inviting me to your meeting.
Christine, let's see, you are the Director of Knowledge and Learning, Affiliate Relations, Development, and Field Governance. How do you fit that underneath your signature line, Christine?
Yeah, it's quite a bit there. We all have that challenge in the team. Well, thank you for inviting me to the meeting today. I'm here to give you a brief update on our community of practice. I have a few slides to share with you both. All right, can everybody see that? Okay, all
Yes.
right. So we are currently in the last week of our pilot to test out the new community of practice tool, Envision Community. Here you'll see the occasions where Envision Community was introduced and a call for volunteers made. The pilot period began on December the 15th and was originally planned for 3 weeks. To ensure we heard from everyone who wanted to provide feedback, we've extended the period twice. So the pilot will now conclude on February 14th, which has been a total of 9 weeks. In total, there were almost 40 individuals who volunteered and tested out the new tool and provided us with useful feedback. The feedback has been very positive. This slide lists just some of the comments we've received. Volunteers received access to the platform and were able to explore features and functions on their own without any prior training. Specific feedback was asked, such as, what do you like about using Envision Community compared to listservs? Are there any functions you are uncertain of how to use? And do you foresee any challenges? There were questions and comments on how to perform certain functions, such as setting up notifications and profiles, which we responded to individually, either by Sean or myself. And these questions have all been noted to be included in training. Thank you to everyone who volunteered to provide us with feedback. So what are our next steps? Based on the feedback received to date, we will be moving forward with a transition from listservs to Envision Community for the 4 councils. After February 14th, Information Systems will shut down Envision Community for maintenance. Training on how to use the platform will be offered early to mid-March. There will be multiple training sessions offered at various times and which will also be recorded. And as individuals are trained, they will be set up in Envision Community. The council listservs will be shut down on March 31st. A communication will be sent out to the council listservs after the 14th, advising them of the plan to move forward with Envision Community training and the shutdown of the listservs by March 31st. More details on the training that will be provided, as well as the transition process to come. And that's what I have to share. Any questions for myself or Sean?
And then I just want everyone to be sure you heard the part about the listservs being shut down. So now when you go to reply all, you will no longer be able to do that. It's all going to be in this community of practice. So it definitely will eliminate many of the emails that we all get. But there might be some things that you lose in the communication process until you kind of get up to speed. So just be paying attention there. I know that Annette and Sheila have been writing down lots of topics that our listserv has and trying to put those topics in so that we already have them sort of ready to go, so to speak. And they will be taking your feedback. So maybe we'll have a place where we can also have feedback, Sean, and for ideas and ways to improve, because I know that that's what they want to do. They want this to be something that works for you all.
Absolutely.
I see
Any
a couple of
questions?
hands up, Brenda. I see a
Okay.
couple of hands up.
All right, let's see. Go ahead.
Here.
I don't see the hands, so whoever it
Jeff,
was.
I think Jeff, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I put this in I've been practicing in it or piloting. I think it'll be a good tool. Glad to see it. I think it'll be better than the listserv because listserv, it's hard to go back and find topics, that's for sure. One thing I wondered about that I didn't hear an answer back is if we have 4 different councils, then will it say if you're an executive director and how long you've been executive director and those kind of things in the profile? So that may have been answered, but I missed it. And then it'll be clear when we write if we're writing just to EDs or if we're writing to a broader group. I don't know how that'll work. So hopefully, you'd cover that in the education. And if we require the education to use it, or will people just can they come in and figure it on their own also?
So I can answer a couple of those questions. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that your first question was, would your essentially your tenure is how long you've been executive director appear in your profile on the page?
And your title, yeah. If there can be presidents or program people and they're answering questions, it'd be nice to know, right now it says member or staff, I think.
Perfect. Okay, we can definitely add that. That's not a problem. That's a good note. Title. Your other question was, will it be obvious whether you're engaging with executive directors or with the PLC or with the different of the 4 councils? Yes, that will be as clear as we can possibly make it. Which isn't to say that people can't make mistakes, but it'll be very, very visibly different between the 4 different councils. Yes.
And
last
then
one,
Meredith. Oh, I'm sorry.
will you require the education to use it, or will people just be able to go in?
That is a good question. I'm actually interested in the thoughts of the council on that. I prefer to make training something that people want to take, so hopefully it'll be useful. And some people are more familiar with these kind of systems than others, but I'm interested in what your all thoughts are, because I can go kind of either way.
Well, I personally just jumped in there and figured it out. So I don't know. For me personally, I wouldn't think I'd have to take a training, but I might want it if I just can't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know what others think. But I do see that Meredith has her hand up and then Sue has her hand up. So if anybody has a comments about what Sean said, maybe put those in the chat. Go ahead, Meredith.
Thank you so much. This sounds great. The only thing that I was concerned about with totally disabling the ED listserv is getting the updates from national or announcements from national. That's super helpful for me. So on this platform, is there going to be like certain sections that like a very highlight when there's a big update from national? That's my only question.
Yeah, there are 2 ways possibly 3 ways we'll address that. One is if we have to make a flash announcement to the entire field, to the entire council. We still have ways to do broadcast email outside of that system, just sort of a one-way announcement email, sort of like you would get leader news or something else. Second, there's a functionality in the system which is called message of the day, or message, like top message, which is just information we can float to the very top of the site so that it can't be missed by anybody coming there. So it won't necessarily be buried in other things. So if there's urgent information that we want to share, rest assured it will get out.
Okay, thank you.
Sue?
Well, I was just going to say, so I'm one of those people who signed up and I've never gone back to it since. And so for me, honestly, getting something in my inbox, even if I didn't look at it right away, I would be responsive. And it's only because I work a gazillion hours. And so thinking about going there, I mean, I signed up for Ann Gary and I haven't been there in a long time, even though I paid for it this year. So, but I would also not attend a training because I don't have time. So if there's something, a good cheat sheet, I might kind of go in, but I'm just going to say, if any of you want something from me, just email me directly.
Thanks, Sue. Lauren, you've got her hand up.
I did go into settings and set it up so that, I should get an email each week about new topics, but I've yet to receive an email about new chats that have started. So I do have to go in to see what new conversations have started. So I don't know if I'm doing the wrong thing in the settings, because to me, that would be my reminder.
Mm-hmm.
And I just haven't gotten one yet.
Okay, we'll take a look at your account and see what's going on with that, Lauren.
So if this did not work out, Sean, would it be a lot of trouble to go back to a listserv?
I mean, yeah, it would. I mean, only because we have to move everybody over and we have to move everybody back. Is it a big problem for me? Not really. Is it a big problem for you? Yeah, more of a problem for everybody else. It's not an irreversible decision, but it's one that we definitely want to. We're making advisedly with the feedback that Christine shared. So we think we're pretty confident this is going to work. I would say a high 90s confidence.
Yeah, I think that the thing that would maybe concern us the most would be thinking that we may not, if there's an important email and we want to get it right away, we might not see it, especially if you had your settings to where it was once a day and it was the end of the day, or once a week, then you might not get that email notification that there was something. We're not going to be in that community of practice looking at everything all the time. It's just that's too much.
Mm-hmm. It definitely comes down to an evaluation of the balance, right? Because I can assure you that anything from NAMI National will definitely get to you without any problems. And the other side of the coin is the current listservs, people get too much email and too many things that we keep getting feedback oh my God, please take me off this list. I'm getting way too much.
Right. Yeah.
And
we don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had people say, I can't take it. Get me off this list because of so many emails. And yeah, we don't want that. Definitely. And then Eric's got his hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say and I'm going to do this myself, but if you're worried about, settings and stuff, go into the trainings, because like this, you're able to, as you said, get the one email a day or the whatever the topic of the day is, sort of thing. I also was going to let everybody know, I don't think I heard Sean say this, but that the point of this is to have, main topics and then subtopics. So if you're one of those that's putting out to the listserv, hey, do you have an HR manual? Or, hey, do you have a board responsibilities? That'll be in a subtopic somewhere where people can upload documents, and then you could go even find it later. Mm-hmm. And I know that Sheila and Annette have been doing a long-term look at all of the different topics that have come up to make those readily available. So I, for one, am excited to be able to just go in when I need to and see if somebody has one of those resources out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this has been something that we've been talking about for many years, since before I was the chair. And one of the things I've been talking about the whole time I've been attending NAMI board meetings, just some kind of way that we can have things in one spot. And we don't have to maintain it, because at one point I remember Bob Scott saying, yeah, we'll have that, but Brenda, you need to maintain it. It's I can't do that. I have a full-time job. I don't have time to get all those documents and put them somewhere. So yeah, staff has to do that. We just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some comments here. I see Jessica said, will those who did not participate in the pilot get access to the new platform? And if so, when? Can people still get into the pilot? And then can you answer her question?
Sure. Christine, I think had a timeline where we're gonna turn off the system to
Yeah.
do maintenance and to wire it up. So I think pretty much we're at the end of this week, I want to say, Christine, the pilot's over. So they won't be able to get in for pilot purposes, but if they didn't, they will be able to get access once we have training started at the end of February, early March.
So you said March 31st is the end of the listserv, so we will have access to this before that, but you don't know
Yes.
when.
Like by March 1st. So there'll be a whole month where it'll be available before the listservs go away.
Okay. All right, and it's true. We just need to build a new habit. We just need to remember to get in there and look at that. And then for new EDs, for them to know that this is a place where they can go. So those are the ones that we don't want to fall between the cracks, you know, and make sure that they get that experience learning about this new platform.
And I see April has a question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, hello. I am one of those new EDs, which is why I have this question. When you do roll over, I'm assuming that all of the people who are in the listserv currently will get some sort of notification and ability to sign up for the new thing. What about those who are not a part of the listserv currently? Will it go out to like new EDs that you have emails, contact? How will someone else be able to join in?
So as long as somebody is listed in NAMI 360 and soon to be NAMI 720, as long as they're listed in our membership system as an executive director for the sake of the Executive Directors Council, they have immediate access to the system. So that'll be part of a package of emails we'll send out for that and some other things.
Okay, thank you.
That can be a challenge to an affiliate that just appointed an ED or hired one, and then doesn't really know because they've never had an ED that they're supposed to put it in 360. So I know that happened to our affiliate, and I didn't know about this for a period of months. And I know that that's not unique.
We're working on some ways to increase the data quality and provide this information back out to the field. So you all can see like, oh, we're missing these folks. We should add them into the system. So it's not just entirely incumbent upon you all.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Sean? Sean, thank you for coming on, and Christine, and letting us know more about community of practice. So we look forward to working it, actually getting in there in March. So next we have Annette Gant, who is Chief Field Relations Officer, and Annette is going to be doing EDLE update and OHAS, Organizational Health Assessment Survey.
Thank you,
Hi,
Brenda.
Annette.
Hi, Brenda. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me and giving me a short time just to provide some brief updates. First, I want to just share, we've heard some EDs say that they're not getting the reoccurring meeting dates for this meeting. Partially that's because we can't send a meeting invite in the listserv, or it's going to break it, because we'll all get the acceptances of everybody who attends this. So that's part of that. But after this meeting, we're going to send, on behalf of Brenda, we're going to send out the remaining dates for these monthly meetings. But it will require that you copy and paste and create those meetings in your own calendar that you use. So I just wanted to say that. But please note the remaining dates for the council on behalf of Brenda. They're on April 13th, May 11th, 3 to 4, both of those meetings. The June meeting will be the council business meeting. So the Zoom invite will not work for that business meeting. So the remaining meetings for this season are April 13th, May 11th, and June 15th. So we're going to help Brenda get more of that information out to all of you after this meeting.
But we do have a March meeting.
I'm sorry, March. I'm sorry, I'll get that date.
It's the second Wednesday of March, April, May.
Second Wednesday. Thank you, Brenda, for that catch. EDLE, EDLE 2021 will soon have all the resources available for the field on our NAMInet website that will include the recordings and any of the handouts for both the January EDLE and the December EDLE that took place December 2nd and 3rd. So stay tuned for that. We will have those resources and recordings available in the first or second week of March, and there are a great deal of resources that will be available. In addition, for those of you who attended in December, you may recall that we had a little challenge on our first day on December 2nd. And unfortunately, the session for around engaging volunteers was not available to take place. However, we have since gone back to those presenters. They are polishing up their presentation, and that recording will also be available. So you'll have the full agenda that was supposed to happen in December available to you to view at your leisure. So I'm excited about that. The last executive committee meeting, we discussed the potential dates for EDLE 2022. And with all things considered, and depending upon how COVID directs us, our decision-making on virtual versus on-site, we are planning to have the 2022 EDLE on-site in Arlington beginning on November 30th through December 3rd. So folks would arrive on November 30th and depart on December 3rd. Stay tuned. That is hot off the press. The executive committee will decide on how they want to launch the next planning cycle for this, and we'll begin to share and keep everybody informed and obviously engage some of you to help with the planning as Brenda and others did in the past for 2021. And then finally, I want to provide an exciting update about the organizational health assessment survey. Again, the why for this survey has huge returns, and mainly the value proposition is that we will have data that will drive our investment decisions. Yes, we have data sets that we use now to kind of determine what strategies and what resources we deploy in the field, but this will give us solid data that is coming directly from initially NAMI state organizations that will help us, not only just my team, but across the NAMI national office, in making strategic decisions on how to deploy both financial and human resources to the field. It will take obviously some negotiation of where we focus our priorities, but nonetheless, that will be done jointly with the field and will be more targeted in the strategies that are offered, strategies and resources offered to the Alliance. So I'm excited about that. 47 of the 49 state organizations are intimately engaged in completing the assessment as we speak. 10 of those 49 organizations have completed it entirely, and 25 more of those organizations have at least 3 respondents who completed it, and that was the minimal. We wanted no less than 3 respondents, one being the executive director, the president, and a program manager or function within the organization. What's next? The close date of the survey took place this past Monday on the 7th. We may need to extend that if there are a few others, like I said, 47. If the 2 remaining state organizations are still interested in participating, we hope that they are. We're shooting for 100% participation. Now our vendor and partner, TCC Group, it will begin to develop those personalized reports of the data results for each of the state organizations. And if the state organization is interested, we'll begin to schedule interpretation meetings, meaning TCC will sit down with the representatives and walk through what the report actually means and how that information can be used and leveraged. And then at the end of February and into March, they'll begin to develop an executive summary and full report for NAMI. And after we discuss that and review it, we'll share that information internally with the board and with the field. And then the decision-making process will begin on what priorities we will pull out of that data to work with our field to build capacity and strengthen the alliance. The next phase of the organizational health assessment will be targeted for Model A affiliates. They're just over 400 as we speak. So it's a much heavier lift, but we have already began those conversations so that in 2023, we can launch a tool for Model A affiliates. And then I'm going to stop there because I want to make sure that I provide enough time for Sherman and Gail in the next agenda item. If you have questions, please just email me or put them in the chat, and we'll respond appropriately in time. Thank you, Brenda.
All right. Thank you, Annette. And yes, if anybody has any questions, please put those in the chat or reach out to Annette. Shout out to Michelle, who is from Northern Kentucky, and she introduced herself in the chat. She's been on board for 2 weeks and joined the Community of Practice pilot and looks forward to continue exploring. Welcome, Michelle. Happy to have you on board. All right, so next we have Sherman Gillums and Gail Tang, and I'm going to let Sherman just take it away because they have a lot to say.
Thank you. It's good to see all of you. Welcome, Michelle. We got a lot to cover, but we won't be able to do it justice in 15 minutes, but we're going to try to essentially dovetail what Annette talked about, where she talked about the OHAS and the effort to listen to you all and to hear from you all as we contemplate a big year of change for us, evolution, if you will. One of the areas that we undertook last year to start some of those changes was in our DEI/JEDI. The only difference between the two is one adds justice as a component of the framework. How we take a look at how we're doing in that area as an organization. And you all did a great thing last year. As we launched the study in August, I wasn't sure that we were going to get as robust an engagement that we got, but we heard from so many of you with a very deep data set that it gave us this opportunity to really take a look and reflect on who we are as an organization and find areas of opportunity. I'm going to let Gail jump in because she's the one that stood in with all of you. Some of you may be on this call who participated in the interviews, but we wanted to give you at least an update, a cursory update on what the findings were, what we're learning. And I will say right now that we're going to commit to providing a longer session at some point in the next few weeks so you can hear an extensive overview of what happened in the survey. But I want to give Gail Tang an opportunity to cover as much of this as she can. And I'll be checking for chat for any questions as she talks. Take it away, Gail.
Thank you so much, Sherman. Can everyone see my screen? Just to make sure. Great. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for carving out a few minutes of your time to learn about the NAMI's Cultural Linguistic Baseline Assessment. And I just want to do a shout out to so many of you that's on the call today that I had the privilege and honor of interviewing and talking to you and getting to know you and really hearing your perspectives. So as many of you may know, because you were part of the process, this baseline assessment was really intended to diagnose and to understand where NAMI is on the cultural linguistic competency journey, and also to explore potential changes for improvements, and hopefully in partnership with everyone, NSOs and affiliates. Our hope is to really to leverage the data to drive change and make decisions. We were very mindful with our approach, making sure that we are listening and learning from all of you who are the experts in the field. And we capture both qualitative and quantitative data through both interviews and also online survey. Here is a slide with interviewee representation. It shows that we interview a total of 53 people, 45 were NSO leaders, and 8 were national board members. And these interviews were 90-minute interviews. Some went over the 90 minutes and into 2 hours. And on this particular slide, it shows online survey representation. For the online survey, we had over 1,076 respondents out of 1,700 emails that were sent out. This is an excellent response rate of 63%. Research shows that for any long and uncompensated surveys, the normal response rate is at about 37%, typically no more than 72 questions. And for our survey, we had 122 questions, and certainly it was an uncompensated survey. So it really, really shows the commitment of the people within NAMI and the interest in the topic. Now, this is a very busy slide, which we won't have time to go through in any detail, but we did provide a PDF to share with you all if you want to look at it in detail. But I just want to maybe highlight a few things. We have 3 slides that are demographic slides. If you look from the top left to the right, and then going to the second row and the third row, basically what it shows is that there's not a whole lot of diversity within NAMI, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. And we have data on paid staff and unpaid staff, gender, sexual orientation, language, and so on. So we don't have time to go over in detail. But overall, it's a very well-educated group of people that you have at NAMI, 76% with bachelor's degree or higher, and majority born in the US, and with relatively adequate health insurance based on the data. And there's a little bit of difference when we look at age 65 and older, where you see a lot more unpaid volunteers, fewer paid staff, a little bit less diversity overall, and better insurance coverage, which makes sense because of Medicare, and a little bit higher in chronic condition. And then when we look at age 24 and younger, we see a big gap, if you will, with the unpaid volunteers. It's much smaller number at 22%. So there's great opportunities there. Definitely there's a little bit more diversity with the younger folks, and more of them are identifying with mental health as compared to the overall group and the older group. So what we did was really ask the key question of determining the current status of NAMI Alliance with respect to culture, language, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We used a SWOT framework to identify the attitudes, perceptions, behaviors, and practices related to cultural competency, diversity, equity, and inclusion with NAMI National, NSO affiliates, and also programs and services to NAMI members. This particular slide shows an overall theme that we were able to categorize with all the responses. And you see that there are 15 themes that emerged from the data, and many of the themes have a combination of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and a few threats. Today, we're just going to highlight very quickly 4 themes that may be more relevant to you. And those are people of NAMI, signature programs and materials, communication, funding, and fundraising. And with each, I'll share some data with a few quotes that reflect sort of a general sentiment. And certainly it's not everything that we've captured. Given the time that we have, we'll just do it at a very high level. So when we look at people of NAMI, it is so clear that the people of NAMI are mission driven, very committed, and it's a clear strength. The weaknesses and opportunities were more related to the lack of diversity. There's a strong desire to increase workforce diversity and outreach to diverse communities. 79% of survey respondents said that they often think about how to better outreach and serve diverse communities, and express concern about the over-reliance on a volunteer model that can be viewed as non-inclusive, as it tends to attract the privileged few, right, who can serve, and that this reliance affects the consistency and continuity of services as well. In terms of
Gail, we
yes.
got about a minute and a half. Just letting you know.
Okay, so folks want to increase knowledge and cultural competency skills as well. And then we'll go ahead and go into communication. You all were talking a lot about the listserv, and that definitely came up. Communication is probably one of the major weaknesses that were brought up within NAMI. And, you know, things not being very clear, not knowing who to go to, having to hunt for information, and the website maybe not the most user-friendly. And signature programs and materials, the fidelity of it is a big issue. Majority feel that having the flexibility and having the ability to adapt the programs are really important. There's also a sentiment of don't ask, don't tell, where people locally are actually doing the adaptations, but because they're not allowed to, they just don't share it, but they do it anyways. Folks want more reflection of diversity that goes beyond images and pictures, more than just having the optics, and feeling that having a lot more language tools and resources are critically important. And then last but not least, in this highlight is funding and fundraising, which was really brought up as a critical issue. People are concerned about having everything from one pot, like all eggs in one basket, feeling that things need to be diversified, and maybe brochures and materials can be less costly for smaller affiliates that may not be able to afford them. And then the fundraising was a huge issue, and it's definitely one that was said to be very contentious because of the model and the structure and the way it's being done, where oftentimes people may not even know if their local members have donated. They don't know to send a thank you note, send condolences, and so on. So it's a huge issue that we need to look at. So moving forward, I do see a lot of tremendous leadership support and commitment from Dan, from the National Board, with Shirley's leadership and with Sherman. There's a sense of urgency and leadership commitment to really work towards advancing the JEDI class journey, and really to do it with intentionality and with accountability at all levels. Just a few examples. One being that more allocation of resources is happening to do this work, and really with a vision to create a dashboard that can monitor performance and track progress, leveraging the national class standards as a benchmark, as a framework. And I'll turn it over to Sherman to wrap up.
And I'll just quickly say that there's so much more to this that we owe you. We're going to commit to doing a retreat, workshop, whatever you want to call it, but we want you all to be immersed in this data with us, because it's about you. It's about us and how we can journey through this together. So I appreciate Gail's work in this. JEDI, it's not just a set of an acronym. It's a way of life and a philosophy that we want to be represented in our work. You'll hear more about it with the bridge span work and the OHAS. And Annette, I try to squeeze it all in. I'll turn it over back to you.
Turn it back over to Brenda. Thank you, Sherman. Thank you, Gail.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. And maybe we can set some time in our future meetings so that we can hear more. And there's a lot going on. Thank you all. and we will, and maybe at one of our future meetings, get Gail and Sherman to come back and do more of a brief or a update on this. So thank you for your work, because we've needed this for a long time. I know it's been something I've been saying for years, and many of you are not heads, and so grateful. So thank you very much. And thank you all for being on the call. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next month. See you in March. Thank you for all our speakers taking the time.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Are the folks who are still on, do y'all have questions for Brenda or me? No? Mary Frances, you okay?
Mary.
Hi, no, I was just verifying the slide with all the statistics and numbers that my understanding was correct. It's based on the NAMI workforce, both paid and unpaid, not NAMI membership. Am I right about that?
Are you talking about the presentation?
Yeah,
from
the last one. I'm talking about the diversity numbers. That the slide was great, but she really didn't say who those numbers represented.
That's what
clearly.
I understood.
That it was
Yeah.
based on the workforce.
Mhm. Yes.
It's based
Yeah,
on
okay.
the people who answered the survey.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood. I hope we can get a copy of that. That would be nice to share with our boards.
We'll be able to get a copy of something at some point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's good. Thank
Great
you.
presentation.
Sure.
Ooh, okay.